Hello, friends. Today we will analyze the plot of the 2004 crime thriller called Walking Tall. Like and subscribe to the channel. Let's go. Retired Special Forces Sergeant Chris Vaughn returns to his hometown after 8 years of service, intending to work at a sawmill. Unfortunately, the sawmill turns out to be closed, although it used to give work to many residents of the town. Sheriff Stan Watkins arrives and realizes that a Special Forces soldier is in front of him. Stan wants to take him home, and Chris reluctantly agrees. At home, the guy is warmly welcomed by his parents and sister Michelle. During Chris's absence, his nephew Pete has grown a lot. In the morning, when he is repairing the porch, his friend Ray drives up. Chris offers his friend a beer, but he declares that he has not consumed alcohol for a year. Ray invites Chris to play soccer with their school buddies. Jay Hamilton and his cronies enter the field against them. Chris and Jay communicated very well during their school years. The Hamilton family is one of the wealthiest in the area. She owns this field, a closed sawmill and the largest casino in the area. When the match starts, Hamilton's team plays very roughly, specifically trying to injure opponents. Chris notices that Pete and his classmates are sitting in the stands and smoking. Towards the end of the match, Booth from Hamilton's team specially hits Chris's knee, and the soldier's old wound makes itself felt. Before leaving, Jay invites Chris and his friends to the casino. Vaughn advises his nephew to quit smoking, but the boy just grins and leaves on his motorcycle. At night, Chris, Ray, and some of his friends arrive at the casino. There are a lot of people inside who want to win from the institution, and a lot of beautiful girls. Jay invites the guys to the VIP room, and he leaves. Friends are paying for a private dance for Vaughn. However, the fighter gets very upset when he sees his high school sweetheart named Danny dancing in front of him. The girl realizes that her former classmate is in front of her, is very embarrassed, and runs away. Chris returns to the room where his old buddy has spent all his money playing dice. Vaughn notices that the dealer replaces the dice with others with a shifted center of gravity and demands to return all the lost money. Then the dealer calls security, and a fight ensues. Vaughn defeats several guards, but others run up and knock him out with a stun gun. Chris is carried to the basement where the chief of security booth tears off a Special Forces badge and inflicts several wounds with a knife. Deciding that the guy is dead, the villain throws him out on the road. By some miracle, Chris survives and is found by a passing truck driver. The doctors save Vaughn, and after a while he is treated at home. Chris spends a lot of time with Ray and Pete. The nephew is often around and brings him food. After a few weeks, he feels much better and starts daily training. When Chris is repairing the house, Jay drives up and apologizes for what his scumbags did. He offers one to become the head of casino security, but the guy refuses. Hamilton gives Chris monetary compensation for the damage, but the fighter is not going to take this dirty money. Vaughn is going to Sheriff Watkins to find out about the case of his beating. To the surprise of the guy, the cop replies that the case was closed, limiting himself to an internal investigation. Watkins explains that after the sawmill closed, the casino became the main source of income in the city, so it cannot be closed. Disappointed, Chris leaves the police station, promising to sort out the situation. Upon returning home, Vaughn is horrified to learn that Pete almost died of a drug overdose. Fortunately, the nephew managed to be rescued, and he explains that it was crystal methyl. Chris begins to threaten Pete's friends, who admit that they were given drugs by security guards at the casino. The angry fighter grabs his shotgun and rushes to the casino, despite his father's protests. Fortunately, when he gets to the place, he changes his mind, leaves the weapon in the car, and takes a long board instead. Inside, he destroys slot machines and beats up the guards attacking him. In a one-on-one fight, Chris defeats Booth and takes his token from him. Before leaving, the fighter breaks the mirror surface with a board, behind which Jay stands, who has been watching what is happening all this time. The police quickly catch up with Chris, arrest him, and put him behind bars. The lawyer advises the fighter to admit his guilt in order to commute the sentence. At the jury trial, several witnesses say that on that day the veteran seemed to have gone mad, began to smash up the casino and beat its employees for no reason. Since the lawyer is not trying to challenge any of the charges, Chris realizes that he also works for Hamilton, so Chris decides to defend himself. He explains to the jury that the city is mired in chaos, debauchery, and drugs because of Hamilton's casino. Chris declares that he is going to run for sheriff in the upcoming elections and clean the city of dirt. Finally, he shows the scars that Jay's scumbags left on his body. The jury acquits the guy, and the residents of the city elect him as the new sheriff. On his first day at work, Watkins reluctantly congratulates Vaughn and vouches for each of the guys at the police station. Nevertheless, Chris fires all the police officers, knowing full well that corrupt scammers worked under Watkins's leadership. When Jay and his girlfriend are speeding in their Porsche, Vaughn catches up with him and demands to show his documents. The rich man threatens the new sheriff. In response, Chris tells the driver to fix the taillights and then smashes them with a bat. Vaughn comes to Ray and offers him to become a cop. The friend refuses at first because in the past he himself was addicted to drugs. Then Chris asks for help to deal with drugs in the city, and Ray agrees to become a policeman. The cops catch several small drug dealers, and then they catch Booth, in whose pocket there is a weighty package with prohibited substances. In search of drugs, the police take apart the villain's cool pickup truck piece by piece, infuriating Booth. Chris puts the drug dealer under arrest and decides to stay overnight at the station, asking Ray to spend the night at his house, as the bandits will surely want revenge. When Vaughn is having dinner, Danny comes in and happily shares that she quit the casino. When Jay finds out that Booth has been put in jail, he becomes enraged and orders his scumbags to act. Several thugs drive to the police station, and 3 more to Vaughn's house. Villains led by Watkins blow up Chris's car and fire at the police station with machine guns. At first, Booth smiles contentedly, but realizing that he may die in this shootout, he asks the sheriff to save him. Vaughn forces the bandit to admit that the drug lab is located in a closed sawmill. Chris wants to save Booth, but the bandit is killed by a stray bullet. The sheriff manages to cope with the villains and kill them all, including Watkins. After that, Chris hurries home with Danny, where they see that Ray, Michelle, and their father have destroyed all the attackers. Ray is wounded in the shoulder, so the sheriff has to go to the sawmill alone. Chris quickly finds a methamphetamine lab, next to which Hamilton is waiting for him. Jay tries to throw Vaughn down, but the fighter manages to grab the villain, and they both fly down from a great height. The sheriff injures his leg and tries to hide in the woods, and Jay grabs an axe and chases after him. Chris sets the dislocated joint and begins to fight with the drug dealer. In the end, the sheriff wins and arrests the scoundrel. Chris and Ray close the casino and make every effort to make the old sawmill work again. How do you feel about this film? Write your opinion in the comments. Thank you for watching this video.